Hey, what's up you guys, this is MJ the Tracking Dev coming back to you with another video. In this video I'll be discussing what I do on a day-to-day basis as an analytics implementation engineer. Stay tuned. So welcome to my video. As promised, I'll be discussing the ins and outs of my role. Also, this role, if you get confused, is known in different titles, such as analytics implementation specialist, analytics implementation developer, as a tracking engineer, or analytics implementation engineer. In this video, I'll be discussing the main purpose of a role like this. What does a tracking engineer do on a day-to-day basis? The requirements for someone that wants to get into this field. Also, what are the primary stakeholders, the main teams that analytics implementation engineers work with. And finally, I'll be talking about career transitions that someone from this role can transition into within the tech industry. So what is the primary role of a tracking engineer? Basically, the tracking engineers are responsible, as the name says it, for tracking data from the web or app and sending it to an analytics platform where analysts can use that information for report or monitoring the success of the application. And with that, the business of a company can make data-driven decisions based on the performance or how users are interacting on the application. What are the main tasks that our analytics engineers do? The primary tasks that analytics engineers do, as I mentioned, are creating tracking scripts that track the information the analysts need to report on. They're also tasked with maintaining the tracking code base, so organizing these code bases or these small code snippets that care about tracking user interaction, which are usually referred as tags, as well as tracking or sending information to third-party marketing platforms, and this is called marketing pixels. The main purpose of that is for marketers to be able to use user data for their campaigns in order to target. And you might have seen an example where or had the experience that you went to a site to look at a specific product, then you went to another social media platform and you saw ads relating to that product. And that's a clear example of retargeting, that as soon as you landed on the site where you saw the product, information was sent to a third-party social media platform that you're also signed in, and that information was relayed so you can get retargeted or send advertisements relating to what products you might be interested in. So what are the requirements for someone that wants to get into this industry? The main requirements are similar to what front-end developers are required to have, which is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Even though in a role like this, you use primarily JavaScript, but having knowledge of CSS and HTML is very handy due to the fact that you have to interact with the DOM, or document object model, as front-end developers know, which is how tracking scripts get the information from usually, or through other means, but it does involve knowing HTML. Also, in a role like this, you also have to know how analytics platforms work. Usually Google Analytics or Adobe Analytics, which are the primary analytics platforms in this industry. Also, having a bit of knowledge on digital marketing is usually a bonus, it's not a requirement, but it does help since, as I mentioned, that is one of the tasks that analytics implementation engineers have to do, which is sending data to marketing or external platforms, which usually do some kind of ad optimizing so marketers can target specific audiences. So who are the primary stakeholders? As I mentioned, are data analysts and marketers usually that rely on data from the user or getting specific user behavior data so they can optimize either their marketing campaigns, or analysts can use it for the business so it can improve on its app or know how users are reacting to their features, or if they can make the experience better for people using their application. What are common career transitions that someone can do coming from an analytics implementation engineer role? First, you can transition to a data analyst. As I mentioned, since you are already working hand in hand with analysts, in order to switch to a data analyst position, you will just have to know how to report and analyze that information. And So I've seen it in my own experience that data analysts are tasked with tracking. So an analyst that can do tracking and analysis is very valuable, since you can not just get the information, but you can also report on it. And also, obviously, you would need to learn a language such as SQL, which will allow you to get information from databases, but that will be an additional tool that you would need to get. But usually you can do that transition since you're involved already with data analysis on a day-to-day basis. That is a transition that I've seen. Another role that you can go into is data engineering, which they're often confused with what analytics implementation engineers do and data engineers. Analytics implementation engineers usually handle the end tracking results. So they give the analyst the exact value that they need. For example, what product was a user seeing? What was the dollar value? What someone purchased on an order? Did they interact with this specific feature? So they have to know the end-to-end value so they can report on it. Whereas data engineers look at everything more holistically at the macro level, where they see tons of information in tables, can be tables within tables that are called nested tables. And they have to get all this raw information and modify it and transform it and migrate it to different platforms and understand the formats that each of these destinations have in order to send information dealing with the company or business. So they deal with larger quantity of data and not just the end value. They deal with all information and they have to transform it and create these pipelines of data where they can send that information to where the business needs that data to go. So as you can tell, there are similarities, but obviously both do entail using different tools. Just having the experience of tracking and collecting information and sending it is already valuable. Another role that you can transfer into is web development. As mentioned before, analytics implementation engineers already use front-end technologies such as JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. And those are the core technologies that web developers use. Obviously, you will have to know more the ins and outs of HTML and CSS, and also JavaScript in how they relate into the web building side of things. But as you can tell, there is a lot of similarities between the languages and tools that are used between both roles. Lastly, another position that you can transfer into is a role in digital marketing. The fact that you already know what information or how information is tracked and how it's sent to third-party platforms, that will give you an edge. Similar to the case of what we talked with digital analysts, the fact that you already know that process, it will make you a valuable member in the team, since you can track any information that is needed, but in this case, you would use it to optimize your marketing campaigns in social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, etc. So as you can tell, by having this skill set, it also makes you a valuable asset in other types of roles. If you made it through this far of the video, I appreciate you. If you haven't subscribed yet, do it and hit the bell notification to get an update every time I upload a video. In future videos, I will get more into the details of what tools exactly analytics implementation engineers use, such as Tag Manager. So stay tuned for that. Have a good one and take care. Peace.